I don't like this as well as I do Lee's song. Lee's more peppy. This is very pro and, very cool. But I like Lee's peppiness. Here we go.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think. I think it's probably the nuts. And that'll be the one. and you can play around with all of it and decide what you want to do in your production stream for Savannah Fish.
I may not be able to end this. There we go. Goodness sakes. Hi, Cassie V. Good morning.
Hello, Fish. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm okay. I'm a little kind of eyes burning and under enthused this morning. My my cat died last night.
Oh no.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did you take them in or?
no, I took care of it. I just yeah, I was able to do it painlessly and gently, and I was able to hold him and let him pass. I had him 15 years, so he was a good friend. And his mother, I had his mother before him. His mother was an oddball girl. She was a stray Persian, and I got her as a kitten, full of fleas. And she for her whole life, she preferred being outdoors to indoors. Her hair was always matted. She was always hunting. She was quite a cat. So
yeah, sometimes if they're wild, you can't tame them, even as kittens.
She never was tamed. She went out one night and never came back. By then I had Tom and his sister, but his sister was a breech birth. So she was significantly brain damaged, I guess. We found a shelter, a no-kill shelter for cats, which is kind of remarkable, but I should check in with them and see if she's still there. That was many, many years ago.
Yeah,
so anyway, so Tom has passed. I took him home about 6 months ago. He lived here at the shop for, I guess, 3 or 4 years. And every time someone came in, he would come out and greet them. He was very friendly. He never once bit or scratched anyone. He was always very gentle, always kind of laid back, an easygoing kind of cat. And I think he left his spirit with me. So I think he's still hovering around. There's a kind of a sweet gentleness about him. You can't say that about cats very often, but he really was. So what's going on here? We've got T-Bones here, John Larson, Paul C., Rohan, Alexander, Lee is here, Aquatic Conquest, Thomas is here. Thomas will be showing up here at the shop soon. And I want to do a video with Thomas. I was talking about it yesterday. We almost got to it, but I was too worn out. But I want to introduce him to the fish family. He's really a remarkable young man. Somebody I'm happy to have on board here who's taking the reins and excited about it and really doing pretty well. By the way, the comment at 8:01 that I wrote is about Dan Heitschall. If you didn't pick that up, a couple of people thought
Who
he would.
Who were you talking about?
Dan Heitschall.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who you were talking about. I thought maybe it was Patrick.
No, it's Dan Heitschall.
Dan.
A couple of people recommended him. I'm just going back to find I don't remember his website. I mean his stream. Yeah, his channel. Anyway, he's done.
Okay, yeah, that's a hard name. I think I've seen his channel though. Now looking at his name.
Yeah, he's a really remarkable guy. He's got something like 15,000 followers, so it's a pretty substantial channel. I chatted with him by text, and he begged off basically. Said he considers himself a very private person. So I invited him to lurk on the morning stream to get a sense of what we're about here. I think the format here would suit him. I think we would be able to respect his gentle manner and his privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always want private exactly on YouTube, but I can understand what he's saying. You know, he doesn't want to mix it up with the hoi polloi, which I can appreciate. I'm doing it in a fairly rarefied manner here that's working relatively well. Actually, I think it's working extremely well. Yeah, I'm very gratified with what we've been able to do. Frank is on. Frank, where are you? He was not. He was going to be here this morning, and he's not. And I'm assuming he's out collecting or down at his mother's. So we'll find out soon. But he and I are supposed to go out collecting today. Anyway, back to Thomas. I want to do an interview with him. Don't know whether I should do it live stream or do it as a video. I'm playing with my mustache because it looks like it's uneven. It's down on one side, up on the other, which looks weird. And I can't, there it goes.
Oh, I couldn't even tell till you did that.
That's a little better. Anyway, so I need to figure out what to do about that. I think maybe we'll do a live stream because I think there are a bunch of people who would like to meet him and have a chance to talk with him a little bit. So maybe
what he might prefer as well, like he might feel more comfortable with doing live stream, or he may not.
I think he's different. Yeah.
I find the videos a little bit intimidating.
Yeah. Well, you don't get the personal contact, obviously. So maybe we'll do that. We'll just maybe follow a morning stream with an interview with Thomas.
You could probably do the morning stream, write the questions down, and then reshoot it in a video. And then you know, put all your questions in order for him that maybe were asked. Add any that you thought of afterwards.
Right. Well, I'll talk to him, see what he would like. I don't think he cares one way or the other. I'll do whatever. There it is. We should do it underwater, he says.
Okay.
Well, I can do it underwater, Thomas. Being a smart aleck, I can do it because I can sign. I know sign language. So we can talk underwater. Where are we? Camera. Can you? I can. That would be cool, says Frank. Right. So Frank went out snook fishing. Did you catch anything? That's the big question. It is snook season now, isn't it? So we could do a big fish on the Barbie. That would be fun. Tom is a diver and as a spearfishing diver. He does free dive spearfishing.
Yeah, Marco is on. Marco apparently he dives as well.
Really?
He's from Italy.
Cool.
He commented on one of my videos. And so he has a channel as well and has, I think, about 4,500 subscribers.
Oh, nice. Rohan. Cool. Oh, Marco, you mean? Yeah.
Marco, yeah. Right there at 809.
From Italy. There's some wonderful. I have a friend who did some diving and collecting in the Mediterranean and around Italy, and he was really impressed with the beautiful anemones that are in the water around there. In fact, he was working for Shed Aquarium at the time, and they brought some back, and we're able to keep them. So he was pretty impressed. Let's see. Lee's. We had Lee had a remarkable stream last night. Stephen came on, and Stephen's son has taken a turn for the worse. He's become at least somnolent, if not, in a coma. They had sent him back to the hospital.
Yeah, I heard he fell back asleep. That was the last I heard.
Right. Well, yeah, they still hasn't woken up. It's a complicated thing. They were able to get a top neurosurgeon to come in and work with him. So they're hopeful that that's going to turn things around. But it opened the stream to conversations by a number of people about major traumas of that type that have occurred in their lives. It was absolutely remarkable. There must have been 6 or 8 people who were able to talk about really very serious traumas in their lives. And Lee's picking up on that this morning when he said, when I found out my father was dying, I lost myself 6 months later. When he died, it was ready, prepared, and dignified as he was during his final days. Tom has passed away, but will never be forgotten. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it. He wasn't like my father, but he was a friend. And a good friend, a friend who gave me far more than I gave him. I gave him a place to live, but he's the one that turned it into his home. I heard him just for a minute or two as I went to bed finally. He was still breathing. Heard him about 1 o'clock in the morning, just a meow twice, I think. And I got up and he was gone. And, lost the ability to walk. That happened very quickly. He had been weak for some time, had arthritis real bad, as well as a number of other problems. But we kept him going for a long time, a couple of years actually. But he finally succumbed 2 nights ago, just stopped being able to walk. I had him in my lap. He climbed up onto my lap. When I put him down, that was it. He was not able to walk anymore. And then I thought it might be that he had not been eating, because he had not been eating. So I gave him some special food that he showed no interest in at all, and it was stuff he really liked. So he was not eating either. So I kind of knew that was the end, and there was no way it could continue. I came back to the house yesterday twice to check on him, and both times he was laying in the litter box as if to say he did not want to mess up the floor. So,
that was good of him.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. I'm sure you were thankful.
I took him out with a towel, and then I held him for a while, and he peed on me, so I was holding him. Lost control. So it was, the whole thing was, I don't know. It was sad, but it was more melancholy, I think. Anyway,
well, we had a laugh at Lee the other day, and I told the guys in the chat, I said, we need to save that clip for Father Fish's show.
All right.
But I don't know if he was doing it on purpose so that we could laugh, or if it was just an accident. But We were all cracking up and dying.
That was on Lee's channel?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
I just caught, he had a long stream 2 days ago. I caught the end of it.
Yeah, it was somewhere near the
Yeah, you were on it, right.
to the end.
Yeah, I found you and
Jane Doe knows what I'm talking about. Foxy was there.
Oxide was there, right.
Mary was there.
Right. No, Mary wasn't. Well, maybe earlier.
For a little bit. She might have been lurking.
She might have gotten off time I got in. Yeah, Lee invited me to do a split screen with them.
Yeah.
In that
Did you figure it out?
Yeah, no, but it's a really interesting idea. It would be pretty simple to do. Part of my problem is I'm not set up at home to be able to do anything much. So I'd have to create some kind of a set to be able to do it. I live in my bedroom when I'm at home. So I don't want to show the bed particularly, or even big at bed.
Coming in may not know we were talking about your cat, Tom. So they might have come in the middle when you were talking and didn't have any reference.
Right, Tisha, Tom is gone.
Yes, Tom, his cat.
Yes, Tom the cat.
The picture behind Father's Fish.
Right. Coffee cup with my picture in it. We're done with. Speaking of which, I am going to be reordering mugs. The mugs are available on PayPal. They're $25, which covers the cost of shipping if you are in the territorial U.S. If not, I need another $20 for shipping. Make sure you leave your address on PayPal at fatherfish@fatherfish.net. I'll be happy to send you a mug and a bumper sticker. Like that. And some stickers. So get all that for one spot with my hand over the picture. There we go. All
Dan
that.
Forrest says if you're in Australia, $200 for shipping.
Oh my God, it's insane. Well, I will cover anything over 20. And a cop has been supporting that effort as well to make sure everybody who deserves the cup gets a cup, a mug. So we will make sure you get your mug.
He says send us substrate with it. 200 pounds.
Right. That's a good idea.
Well, at least probably your additive bag.
Right. I don't know if it would clear customs. Dirt. I don't think dirt would go through.
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh dear.
Maybe if you just made it like salt, lime. What are your other additives?
I don't know.
Leave out the dirt.
Yeah. Baking
leave out the cow.
Leave out the cow. Stuff. Right. Oh, let's see. Let me get down here to
Mary said she had to take her daughter to work today and then work with her grandson this morning on Mary said she so I don't know if that means she might join us later or she'll just miss it completely.
Well, she wasn't sure, I think. The Old Time Fish Store, that's cute. The Old Time Fish Store, what do I call it? An Old Time Pet Shop. The Old Time Fish Store, that's good. I like that. I'm getting some new ones made, so maybe I'll adopt that. That's a cute idea, Psychedelic.
Dan wants to know if you have a list of the additives. or if he has to rewatch the video.
I posted that list a number of times.
Did you?
I don't think I've, yeah,
I've
but
seen
I don't think I haven't posted like on the community page, on the community, whatever that is, page, I guess. That's a good idea. I should do that.
It's hard because if you're doing it in the videos, it's going to get lost.
Let me say something about that. Yeah, exactly.
Somebody might be able to repost the video today for him.
Yeah, what's the latest one where I did the breakdown? I don't even remember.
I don't think I've seen it. I watched the first one.
Let me make a comment about these additives because they're while they're relatively consistent, there are some things that change routinely, and other things that have been added and taken away, and then put back. The root of it is that the soil itself contains all of the minerals that are necessary in order to get the system percolating. Excuse me. In order to get the system percolating. So you really do not need more than potting soil and sand to cap it off. I complicate it by starting with about 7 different elements, to which I add potting soil, black cow, which is basically a
Compost.
Manure. Yeah, it's a compost.
From cow manure.
It's a sterile compost. It's it's a clean compost. And peat moss. And I mix all of those together, wet them thoroughly, and put them about an inch deep. Now, what that provides with all of the supplements is several years of nutrients, because some of those supplements, like the iron oxide, take a very long time to break down. So that'll even become available to the plants until it's been in there for a year or more. Now, keep in mind that all of this is my take on, or my expression of the basic research that has been done on dirted tanks. So it's my approach to this, utilizing.
Well, you're a gardener. You're your own gardener. You're like a gardener and creating your own mix.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. And
every gardener has their own mix.
Yeah, exactly, and I do too. And part of it's a growth, an outgrowth of experience, and part of it's an outgrowth of research. So let me run down the list a little bit. I mentioned iron oxide. That's a critical one because iron is a really vital part of the life cycle of any plant. I use calcium. Now, for a long time, I was using diatomaceous earth because I was under the misapprehension that diatomaceous earth was calcium-based. And while it may have been in its original state, it is a fossil material that is stone. And the calcium has all long ago been replaced by a hard mineral that doesn't dissolve. Nevertheless, it's helpful in some other respects. It does provide
a common ingredient for gardeners, so it's a common ingredient. So it sounded like a good one.
Yeah, it is. It also provides aeration, kind of microscopic aeration, if you will. A third one that I use that's I use Epsom salts because it contains magnesium, and I also use baking soda, which
Calcium.
it contains calcium and also helps to hold the pH. It contains carbonates. So the carbonates are real important for being able to maintain a stable pH. And then the other thing I usually put in is powdered calcium, if I have it available. I don't always have it. I mean, you could flake chalk or something, I suppose, if your chalk is made from calcium. Not all of it is. And then what else do I use? Oh, various kinds of fertilizers. And I try to get the more natural, although I do like Oxycoat. And I like it, Osmocote, right. And I like it because it's slow release, very slow release. And it stays in the mix. It does have a tendency to float. I mean, if you put some of it in your tank, it'll stay on the surface. It's slightly lighter. It's not lighter than water, but it's lighter than dirt, lighter than sand. So it's going to tend to want to be buoyant and come to it'll float around on the top of your soil. But again, that's why I cap all of this with a couple of inches of sand, enough sand to keep it all down under, keep it out of the water column. So that's the other principle then, is having put all this stuff. And there are a few more things. I've gotten into using blood meal and bone meal lately, mainly for their organics. Because a lot of really good organics in blood meal and bone meal. I pack all that. I wet it thoroughly, put it in a bare empty tank, and then cap it with a couple of inches of sand. Enough sand to keep it down under. And if I start seeing a little bleeding, I'll add more sand because I want to keep it out of the water column. Now, that formula can vary. And it can vary according to your interests, your research, your water conditions, your whatever. So it's not hard and fast. It's my formula. It's one that works pretty well for me. But there are any number of caveats. We've been over this issue before. There are as many different ways to set up and maintain a fish tank as there are people doing it. My goal with this system is to make it possible for beginners, for people with their first fish tank, to do something that will be rock solid, that will be bulletproof, that they will be able to be successful with, that's not going to kill their fish or foul their tank.
And I can the additives on your website too, Father Fish. What's that bag? What tank size is that bag good for?
The bag I sell is good for 100 gallons. It'll do 100 gallons.
Well, my question to you, would you half that and make one that's half that size available as well?
Well, I could do it, but it's kind of meaningless. Cass, I'm going to have to take a break. I've got a problem this morning that I need to go deal with. I'll be back in a minute. I'll let you run the show here.
It's easier with Mary.
I know. Oh, that you were here. Be right back.
You guys had some questions, and I'll get them lined up for Father Fish to answer. I haven't ignored them. Dan, I see your question about sodium cyanide. I just wanted Father Fish to be able to finish, and I didn't want to interrupt him in the middle of his thought. So we'll get to that. I don't know exactly what that is. what ingredient would you go buy that has that? Would that be in like a potting mix with fertilizer? I'm just not sure. I haven't seen that before. You mentioned leaving it out, so what might have it? Chris, I think I mentioned you yesterday, and your name was on the tip of my brain. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be wrong, but I was bringing you up for some reason about doing the brackish water, but I don't remember why I mentioned you. Oh, the mailing. I think you were the one talking to Father Fish about, we were talking about the mail and USPS taking too long nowadays. Instead of 3 business days, it's like taking 5 business days, and Father Fish has been having some DOAs using it, and I mentioned you because I thought you brought it up, and that had been talked about in another stream when you were on, but I might be wrong, so I thought you mentioned DHS and being like the same price or better pricing as well, and getting stuff shipped on time. Powdered. Okay. So I was asking Father Fish about the bag of additives, because I know when I was looking at, I saw that and I wanted to add it to my 40-gallon dirted substrate, but when I saw that it was for like 100 gallons, I thought a smaller, like maybe a $10 option would be better to have available for like 40-gallon tanks, since 40-gallon breeders are a common tank to have. I didn't purchase it because of that, because it was for 100 gallons. Yeah. So Chris, you lost a lot of livestock as well through the mail. I didn't see though. Did you say what, if you switched carriers as well though? Can you confirm that? Okay. USPS, and only overnight packages will be delivered on time. That was a problem for me as well. It used to be like 2 days became like 3 and 4 day delivery instead of 2 day. Like, well, they stopped guaranteeing 2-day delivery for like priority mail, and then they also raised their prices and they weren't guaranteeing 2 days. It's like, I'm not gonna pay that much if you're not going to guarantee it. So I dropped down to just like first class mail.
Yeah, even that doesn't guarantee 2 days.
Well, I had the same issue with my website when USPS had switched their 2-day, like they no longer guaranteed it. And I was like, I had to change all my listings, and I took that off all my listings. So I don't ship like priority mail anymore unless I need the tracking.
Yeah, I agree.
I just, they raised their prices.
Somebody mentioned DHS yesterday. I haven't checked with them.
That's why I saw Chris. I think Chris was the one who mentioned it. Isn't he the one you had on your stream one day? He came on and made a guest appearance.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I swear he mentioned it. He's in Hawaii, right? And he does the brackish water and.
Oh, that's right.
The brackish water tanks are way easier.
Right. Yeah.
And then during that conversation, he mentioned about shipping.
Morning,
but I'm
hi there. Oh my word! Look at this.
I was calling to see. If it was Daphnia or
Holy
shrimp.
cow! Yeah, but they're magma. They're magma. MAGMA. That's the largest of the Daphne. Now you've also got mosquito larvae in there.
Yeah, I see those.
That's what I get, and I was wondering what those things are, because I get something that looks like that with the larvae, the mosquito larvae, and I didn't know what it was.
It looks like
big. Yeah, that's what I got.
Mosquito larvae. I am only seeing. Hold it back up again. Let me track it. I think it's
okay. I don't know.
The only thing I see is mosquito larvae.
That's what those are?
Yeah, it's all mosquito larvae. All of it.
I think so.
The little tiny ones are baby mosquito larvae.
Okay. The little tiny ones don't move in that direction. Like they do more wiggly movements.
Well, they do, but they don't. I mean, if you'll notice, they drop and stop.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
They shoot and stop, whereas Daphne will just keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris said it wasn't him, so I don't know.
That's what I was wondering. I thought that might have been sea shrimp.
That's a great collection. Terrific fish food.
I got a big tub of it outside. I got a big tub of it outside.
I had a question queued up for you, Father Fish, about the substrate additives.
That's all I was wondering. All right, I'll get off here. Let y'all continue.
Thanks, John.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, Cassie.
I didn't want to kick them off, but I just wanted to going back to the additives. Dan Flores was asking about sodium cyanide. Should you not add sodium cyanide? Am I saying that right? Sodium cyanide?
I saw that note, and I thought it was a tease. Was that a Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Okay. He says he thinks it's a powder. I didn't know if it was like an ingredient in one of the fertilizers that was like a mix.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But you're not talking about using like a Miracle Grow mix. That's the only thing I was thinking. Like maybe it was an ingredient in one of the.
It's a poisonous compound. Has a high affinity for metals. The main application in gold mining. It's highly reactive toward metals. Moderately strong base. When treated with acid, it forms a toxic gas, hydrogen cyanide. Sounds nasty to me. Prussiate soda, it's called. Utilized in metal cleaning, tempering of steel, gardening, ore extracting, dyeing, printing, and photography. See if we can find a gardening reference.
Yeah, I just didn't know why he brought it up. Like, must be referring to something.
Well, it is used in gardening. I don't
But
know.
all the ingredients you mentioned were like single bag ingredients that you're making your own mix. So you know what you're putting in there.
Right.
And you're not adding anything bad. And definitely not intentional.
Here's an article in Mother Earth. Let me see if I can get this one up. This on healing plants with cyanide. It references herbs that contain cyanogenic glycosides, including bitter almond, elderberry, eucalyptus, flaxseed, and wild cherry. So it's a food connection. I don't know. I've never messed with it. Mother Earth Living. Let's see, what's the reference? March, April 1999 in Mother Earth Living. It's an article on healing plants with cyanide. Now, I don't think that means that you heal damaged plants. I think it means that these are cyanide-laced plants that that provide healing properties. So, for what it's worth,
use with caution.
use the precisely. Right. My caution would be this. I've got some toxins on my shelf, like formalin. I've got some pure formalin. I have pure powdered methylene blue, malachite green. What's the yellow one called? Acroflavin. All of which are extreme toxins, carcinogenics, that I don't mess with. I mean, there they sit. They've been there for years and years and years. And Frank just walked in with his mouth open.
I've been here since my last text.
You've been here since your last text.
Yeah, I've been here. Out back, stick the stuff in here.
No, all right. All right.
I'll be back in a few.
All right. Frank's here. He didn't catch anything, I take it. Can someone link Father Fish's website for Misfit? Website. FatherFishAquariums.com. FatherFishAquariums.com. Oh, what else is going on? My doctor advised me to lay off the cyanide and cholesterol to keep my heart beating. I dare say. We're done left. Chris says that was not him about the mail, but he was there at the time.
I swear, I'm going to have to go look back, but that might be too hard.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Yeah, it was mentioned in passing, and I've not dealt with them for many, many, many years. And I neglected to follow up. You know, it's certainly possible that they're doing a better service than the major carriers. I don't know. Worth looking into.
Someone corrected me and said DHL. I must have been saying DHS. I don't use them either.
Yeah, DHL is correct. AC is loving the show. Well, it must be you, Cassie, because it ain't me.
What?
I'm just halfway. Aquatic Conquest saying he's loving the show.
Oh, I don't know. I was just trying to get that mail question answered, and I saw Chris. I'm like, well, he was the one I was talking about yesterday, and I don't think he was on yesterday.
Oh, Chris is talking about
clarify things. Post a link, Father Fish, and see if anyone else would like to come up.
There we be. Oh, Sharpies talking about his babies.
I mentioned back on the additives again. Right before you left, we were talking about offering maybe 2-size additive bags.
Yeah,
One for like smaller aquariums.
actually, I'm doing that. I'm offering 100-gallon and 1,000-gallon.
No, is it not worth it to do that in like the 40-gallon breeders? To just like half that amount for the 100-gallon and add it to the 40?
Well, the economics of it don't make sense because then the shipping costs more than the product. Number one. And number two, it means I'm spending basically the same amount of time putting it together, boxing it, packaging it, and so forth for half the money.
Mm-hmm.
So economic. When I put it together, I looked at the smallest reasonable amount to do that would provide a reasonable income. And I landed at $20 as my bottom, a $20 product package as a bottom. The shipping on that is about $8, $8 to $10 to ship it pretty much anywhere territorial U.S. By ground. So the cheapest shipping. I can't ship it as books, and they don't allow prices books. So that would be.
You could inspect it if you ship it like that. I guess you could try.
It doesn't
Maybe
feel much. Well, I don't put it in a box. I put it in a baggie or some kind of bag, and I put that in an envelope, a large, like a manila, or I've got some of these thermal bags that I've been using that I get my blackworms in. And then I include a bumper sticker and a couple of stickers with it. So there are a few little benefits that go along with it. I will also ship it with plants. I'm not shipping fish right now. I don't know when I'm going to be able to. I've just decided not to ship fish until things straighten out. Until
I don't know if it will.
If I can get them delivered guaranteed in 2 days, I'll do it. But I'm not going to keep shipping fish that are going to take 5 days to get there dead. You know,
Well, they said overnight will be guaranteed delivery on time. Apparently, the post office just made a press release about that.
What was this?
Overnight is going to be guaranteed.
Overnight guaranteed. Well, overnight ought to be guaranteed. For what you're paying, it's an exorbitant price tag. You know, it's like for a little box like I'm shipping, $75 for $20 worth of product. It's hardly worth it. I mean, it would have to be a couple of $100 worth of product to be worth spending $75 to ship it, and that's for a little tiny box. That's not for a big box that would be $200 to $300. You know, for them to charge that kind of money and then not guarantee it next day.
Yeah.
is abusive. Not that they're not abusive. I don't know what this is all about, frankly. I mean, they're blaming it on COVID, but the post office continued to work throughout the entire COVID with no restrictions on employment or labor or whatever. So why it should have affected it, I really have no idea. But it certainly has affected service drastically.
Yeah.
To the point where the service is not worth paying for. Not if you're shipping anything that's perishable. Perishable is not going to make it. So yeah, DHS or DHL. We need to look into that.
I do it too.
Hi there, cop. How are you? Nice to see you.
He's on mute, or he left.
He's on mute. He's there. He's on mute.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, I switched the other tab and it's like delayed.
Express. I'm looking at DHL. They have an express. Doesn't say anything about it though. I don't know. I'll have to call them, I guess.
You can get a quote. They have DHL for business if you're shipping regularly.
Yeah, that's a lower rate. Yeah, it doesn't say what the delivery options are. I haven't found it anyway. I'm not going to spend the time looking for it.
I think it was the same here. Sharpies Models and Aquatics is, I don't know about the States, but over here during lockdown, online orders went through the roof and purely overwhelmed our postal system and couriers. So that could be a lot of what happened. They were just getting more orders than they could handle. Because
I don't know.
A lot more online sales as well.
They claim not. They claim they're moving stuff. I don't know. You get so many mixed reports. I don't know. Chevy Fish has got something to say about all this. Oh. Hi,
Alexander Lee said something at 8:55. Do you see Alex's comment, Father Fish, at 8:55?
Yeah. Next day before 10:30.
So he's saying UPS is cheaper? Cheaper than probably the overnight. Guaranteeing the next day.
Do they ship fish?
Well, I'm sure Alex ships fish, so that sounds like that's probably what he's using. UPS next day. DHS takes kids.
True enough.
I don't know.
Whatever. Alexander said he's got a huge order coming today. But the other thing you can do, of course, is if you've got a big order, you can ship by airline, and that that guarantees within hours. If you hit the flights right, you can get it there overnight or like 6 to 10 hours. And it's not all that expensive. You have to have an account. You have to set up an account with the airlines. But I used to do that all the time when I was running wholesale. I'd go to the airport and pick up boxes out of California that were shipped maybe 10 hours earlier.
Alex is on here twice. Is it the same person, Alexander Lee, and The Secret History? I thought that was the same person, but I could be wrong. Or he's just signing in and saying hi twice.
I don't know. Chris Halley, I would love to engage you on this, but I have no idea what you're talking about, and I really don't want to get into it.
Oh, you're saying you don't know what he's talking about. I thought you meant Chris didn't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. No idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with that one.
And I don't want to know in this format. I just don't want to get into it. I mean, I don't mind talking politics, but that looks to be a pretty involved topic that is not particularly germane to anything having to do with what we're doing.
It's very specific.
I think. Joe's Tips and Tricks, 48's account. Oh, okay. Democratic presidents. You're going to sucker me in, aren't you?
No, just let's go find somebody else.
You're going to sucker me in.
That's why, same with psychedelics, she was talking about COVID being real, but that the media.
My mother's land of people
I definitely
died.
would agree the media is being disruptive with how they're dealing with COVID.
Right. Right. Well.
So I was confused then. I thought Alexander Lee was The Secret History. I thought he was coming in and trying to be covert. And
Oh, yeah.
I was wrong. They're two different people. Sorry, Alexander Lee.
Alex is Alexander Williamson.
Yeah, I just thought maybe that was his middle name.
Oh, that's what it was.
You're not getting too many fishy questions today. I guess we're not getting a lot of.
Maybe, yeah. I'm totally lost in this entire conversation.
They don't want to ask them, or their questions are answered.
You know what I ought to do? I ought to do one stream that'll be pure politics. Nothing but politics. Give everybody a chance to get all this stuff out. You know, Lee did it last night. He made a comment, and I dearly wanted to respond, but I didn't.
Well, world politics and our politics are different.
AC has a stream going through his front door. I'd be happy to have one at the bottom of my garden, Lee Wilcox.
What did I just walk in on? Father Fish 2020 is his dead Fred.
Where's this?
Chevy Fish says no politics.
Daisy Kyle, no. She doesn't like it. Don't
You
get
can turn
that
on your
started.
TV and turn on your news channel if you want to watch
It's so
politics.
noisy, nobody would make sense. Sharpie's politics is pointless anyway. Oh, here we go. We're done left. Can agricultural greensand gluconite be used in a planted tank? Excellent, excellent question. We're done left. I was
Great.
talking.
Make this all, Father Fish.
I was talking with redfish, bluefish.
You got to switch it.
Oh, right. I was talking with redfish, bluefish a day or two ago by phone. Sunday night, in fact, I was talking with him. Lucas? No, what is his name? Redfish, bluefish.
I am not familiar with redfish.
God, name just. I mean, it's absolutely amazing channel. He's I'll think of it in a second. Yeah,
I wish I could help you. I'm just not familiar.
Jason, thank you, DC. Jason called up, asked about some wholesale related stuff, and we got to talking about greensand. He was not familiar with it. A greensand is we were talking about diatomaceous earth earlier. Well, greensand is an ancient deposit laid down from an ancient, presumably freshwater ocean, just millions and millions of years ago, that exists. The strata exists in only one place in the world. Now, it's a very large strata. It's like a couple of 100 miles long, a mile and a half wide, and hundreds of feet deep. So it's millions, perhaps billions of tons of green sand, which is very high in a variety of minerals and is used in gardening. I've been trying to get some in bulk. The reason I would like to get it is because it would be of enormous value in deep sand beds, and would be very useful in this deep substrate system, and I think could be used as a cap. So where is it available? It is available from southern to mid-state, western central New Jersey. Greensand, available exclusively in the world from New Jersey, where it is mined and is available in relatively small packages. I would like to be able to get at least 500 pounds, preferably a ton or a half a ton, but I'd need to get it delivered to Florida, and I've not been able to figure out how to do that. I've talked to the company that mines it, but they're not shipping in that volume, I guess. They probably ship in much larger volumes by freight, by train. But anyway, yeah, it's an amazing product. It has very wide application, but it's a very limited product, limited by its geographic availability, which makes it expensive to ship anywhere outside its relatively immediate environs. I suppose the pickup truck could be taken up there and filled up and brought back in a few days. I don't know. But anyway, that's That's what, look up Greensand. It's wonderful stuff. It's an amazing product. Would love to be able to get it in larger than 1 pound quantities.
So your answer to that is it's amazing.
Yes. Aquatic Conquest talking about copper. Glad that one came up. Who brought that up? Oh, this is interesting. Aquarium caught black sand. I've collected and used black sand. There are two issues with black sand. I found black sand in a very wide variety of environments. I find black sand strata, small strata. I've never found it deep, except when I was in the West Indies. And I did find it in deep strata on the beaches in the West Indies, to the point where I was able to bring about 20 pounds back with me. It contains iron, metals, or some kind of iron product that is magnet sensitive. It's also found in gold mining. It's a common product in gold mining. So there is powder gold or flour gold in black sand, which requires some effort to extract it because they're both about the same atomic weight. It's a very heavy mineral. Is inert in tanks, so it works perfectly well in a fish tank. Now, I don't know about the metals in it. My hunch is that they are inert or relatively inert because they're found in water where they have not oxidized. So whatever that metal is, I dare say it's not iron or would have oxidized. It's something that is magnet sensitive, that polarizes, but it seems to be able to exist without corrosion in water. It's found in water. It's found as water sifts sand and layers it by strata according to its weight. So you can occasionally see black sand erupting on the surface, and if you dig down, it'll generally become deeper and a little thicker. The only place I found it was in off the coast of South America, the east coast of northern South America, in the islands. I'm trying to remember which island I found it on. I don't remember. My brain's not working real well today. But I found it in deep layers. It was like 6 inches deep. I've never seen it deeper than that. I understand there are beaches in Hawaii that are deep with black sand. It's a very, very, very nice product. It's not the same thing as blasting sand. Blasting sand is anthracite coal. It's a very, very hard, non-powdering coal that is also extremely effective in aquariums. Is inert, will not break down, and will not cause any other problems. They're really nice products. The anthracite is a larger crystal, and it's a crystalline structure, whereas the black sand is, it may be crystalline, it's much finer. And, much more like sand, although it's much finer than most sand. It's almost a powder, but heavy. Nice stuff. I've had it in small quantities. The 10 or 20 pounds I brought back of Dominica. I was in Dominica. Dominique. I was in Dominique. That's where I got it. It's long disappeared in fish tanks, I guess. I haven't seen it in years, so I don't know what happened to it. Copper, we were on the copper. Copper is highly active in water, and was used. Tell you a story about the initial first uses of copper that I'm aware of. Now, I'm sure it was used earlier than that, but when we started bringing saltwater fish in from Florida up the East Coast, they came in diseased, typically, and they were treated with copper pennies. We'd throw some copper pennies in the salt water,
Mm-hmm.
and it would cure the bacteria. It also killed the fish,
Yeah.
but that was days later after they were sold. The early days of saltwater import were not a whole lot better. Well, I shouldn't say that. That would be unfair. I was going to say not a whole lot better than they are now. For some species, it's true. For many species, the husbandry is substantially improved, and the number of species are being raised and bred in captivity. So we're doing better with saltwater. But yeah, copper pennies. The other thing we used to do in order to get the ammonia cycle going was we used to urinate in the fish tank to get ammonia in there in order to get the nitrate cycle going. So
I
it
feel like that was TMI.
was fairly raw back in the early days. But then no one thought much of it. I mean, I remember gardeners, old-time gardeners, who would have a big jug, like a 5-gallon jug, in their potting room, in their potting shed, that would be that would hold urine, because urine was a very popular commodity for use in gardening. So
Grass. Well, there's
that's far
something.
back you want to go.
There's something that's in dogs. If they are leaving brown spots on your yard and killing the grass, then they need to, like, their diet needs to be changed. I forget what it was though, but that shouldn't do that. It shouldn't be leaving dead spots.
Oh, I think, yeah. Well, the
was in their
dog,
diet that causes that, but it usually signifies something, and you need to change something in their diet.
dog waste breaks down very, very quickly. Within a day, 2 days, it's broken down into virtually dust. I mean, the fecal matter from dogs, the scat, if you will, from dogs is a waste product that while it does leave an odor if it's persistent in a given location, it does break down very, very quickly.
I don't really find it in our yard, I guess, unless I go looking for it. But Chevy Fish said we used to use pennies to cure white spot on Hippopotamus tangs years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's not good for the tangs, however. Any kind of copper. I got away from copper pretty early on.
And then Aquatic Conquest had something to say about the soil. But I didn't want to interrupt you.
Where are you?
I'm scrolling back up. So much was said, and I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. But at 9:15, 9:50, Fatherfish. Volcanic soil would be good, maybe. What do you think, Fatherfish?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just don't know where you would get it, but if you can find it.
So guess who's here? Guess who's here? Our pretty little Filipino girl is here. Cynthia.
Oh, yeah, she said she wanted to come on
Hi,
today.
Cynthia.
Hello,
How are you, dear?
Fish.
Hello,
Hello,
good to see you.
fine.
Nice to see
Hello.
you. There she is.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm here because I want to show you my apple snails. I'm having such a good time with it. Look at
Oh, my word, look at that. How beautiful.
it. That's it. I just want to show you.
Let's do it a little longer, Cynthia. Show us a little longer.
Oh, sorry.
Hold
There we
it
go.
away from the camera more. Too
Oh, wow.
close.
Yeah, a little too
Sorry,
close.
sorry.
Back up, back up,
A little,
Oh.
back up more.
little
Back
more.
close to your face. It's blurry.
hard to go. Yep, bring it closer to you.
Okay, sorry,
There you
sorry,
go.
sorry.
It's hard. It's
But
opposite. Things are
it's
reversed.
glaring.
Oh, it's a ground tail. Oh, it's beautiful. Ground tail is my very favorite betta.
I don't see the betta. Where's the betta?
Upper
Oh,
left-hand corner, I
there's
think.
no betta.
But what is it? What are we looking at?
No, just a snail. I just want to show
Your
you.
apple snail.
That's it.
Remember, she was talking yesterday about feeding apples to her apple snail.
Oh, the snail.
Yeah.
Right.
I just
got
want to show you.
ground tail betta.
I got nothing to show.
But you
Tomorrow,
bought the snail, Cynthia. And
tomorrow I will show you the candy koi crown tail that I have.
wonder- Oh, I would love
Yeah.
to see that.
I
Candy
will
koi
show you.
ground tail. Wow.
Yeah, I will show you.
All right.
Are you planning on putting your apple snail in with your other aquarium?
No, because
What are your
Fatherfish says that it will kill me, the plants. So all the tank is so planted. I don't want it to kill the plants. Anyways, that's it. That's all I want to do, and all I want all I want you to see. So I gotta go. I have another, thing to do. I have to study with my students.
We'll look
Bye-bye,
forward to
Father.
seeing. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. All of you have a good day there. I love you all. Bye bye.
Bye.
Mercy. What a cutie. Cynthia's a school teacher in the Philippines. I don't know what, I think she teaches middle schoolers, I believe, and is doing homeschooling, doing online schooling now. She lives in a big city on the Big Island. That's not real descriptive, is it? Probably
It's,
just.
it's a challenge in itself, but I guess teachers just have to adapt and accept it.
I guess.
It's very
Mongolia.
challenging. though.
What? What? Oh dear. Quite a conquest. Magic mushroom. Reindeer urine. Apparently has the psychedelic properties of magic mushroom. I see. I guess that's why camel urine is a delicacy. I don't know. Are there magic mushrooms in the desert?
Interesting. Did you see Secret History at 921? Is that what you read? It's similar.
No, he was here extracting curing dyes from fungi. Oh, really? The Picts of northern Scotland use it with lichen. Huh. Oh, wow. Purple dyes. Purple dyes.
I know.
Amazing. So I guess we're...
Ick. You must have to wash it after that to get
a
that
little
off.
bit.
They were talking earlier, and I had some questions for you. Alexander Williamson said, "What chiclet is the most violent pound for pound?"
Well, there are some pretty good competitors. the two that come to mind immediately are
They
the
make them small fatherfish.
well, there's Texas cichlid, the flower horn, the Haitian cichlid, and there's a black one. The black one is that's the Haitian black cichlid. This, it's a funny question because it's got a whole lot more to do with husbandry than even species. Because any big cichlid, Central American cichlid, is going to be a mean sucker. But those are the three top ones in my book. The worst of the bunch is probably the Haitian black cichlid, followed by the Texas, followed by the flower horn. The flower horn, we just got one in the other day. It's about 14-inch male flower horn with about a 7-inch female that have been spawning in a pond for years. And I've got them in the 500. I pulled all of the Oscars out because I didn't want them killed. But it's in there with an arowana with a big 2-foot biker and some large red-tailed catfish. I think there's a peacock bass in there too. So far they're looking pretty good. Someone else, we do need to do a walkthrough. Maybe I'll do that with Thomas a little later. Somebody brought about a dozen very large 6-inch marble angels in last night after I went home. They're in the angel tank. Stunningly beautiful fish. And I'll have a note here on them. I'm curious as to what the deal was with them. I guess I'll find out when Thomas gets here. But really, really pretty. So I think maybe we'll do a walkabout with Thomas and look at some of the tanks. He's been setting up some cool stuff too. So if we're going to do that, then we really need to do it as a video rather than a live stream, I think, because it'll be tricky to do it as a live stream. I don't know. I'll ask him. He's the techie. He'll figure out a way to do it.
An informal one and with the live stream, and then follow up on the video. Chris, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, nothing. I was just referencing Alex is still going on about piss.
Yeah, okay. Well, Chris Halili really wants some sump knowledge, I believe, from you, Father Fish. He's asked a couple times, and I replied. I said, I get it answered.
Yeah, I know. He brought this up a long time ago. He's brought it up in several venues as well. Give me a timestamp.
It wasn't answered. At 9:02, I didn't see. He was replying to T-Bone. I'm not sure what he was replying about. But at 9:02, he said, I will hope for sump knowledge.
I don't know if I can get back to 9:02.
And then he asked again.
I cannot get back to 9:02. Okay,
Yeah,
read it out to me then. I can't get back to it.
That's all he said. He said, T-Bone, I will hope for sump knowledge. And then he came on again somewhere asking about the sump. What can you tell him about sumps, I guess?
So I just saw somebody here mention Fuller's Earth too. Fuller's Earth is diatomaceous earth, I believe. Sump. I like sump. Do you like sump? I like sump. Sump is one of my favorites. I have some.
923. He says perfect sump ?
What is a perfect sump? 923. Perfect sump. perfect sump. Any sump is a perfect sump.
An aquarium
What is
with water
the sump?
in it. I guess I've looked up sumps and just seen people, especially in salt water, adding like a bunch of, like making it a big giant cartridge filter turned on its side.
That's open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get into sump a little bit here. The main function, not purpose, but function of a sump is to expand the volume of water that you're working with. So if you have a 100-gallon tank, let's do something smaller. Let's say you have a 55-gallon tank and you've got a 20-gallon long under it. And that 20-gallon long has, say 4 or 5 inches of sand and 5 or 6 inches of water. That'd be about 25 gallons of water. That means you have effectively increased, plus the sand, you've effectively increased the volume of water from 55 gallons to closer to 100 gallons, 80 to 90, plus the water that's in the sand. So the first function is to increase water volume, increase the volume of water you're working with. That's beneficial because it dilutes all pollutants. Anything that's causing a problem in the tank is thereby diluted by 25% or so. Now, if in addition to that, the sump contains filtration material such as deep sand bed, bioballs, rock, stone, lava rock, foam, filter floss, any kind of material that will act as a filtering agent, then you've got, in addition to the additional water, you have a substantially larger filtering bed. If it is a deep substrate, say 6 inches or so, then you're substantially increasing the substrate in your main tank by additional depth, as well as the additional volume. The additional depth gives you more anaerobics. The additional volume gives you simply more volume. So the function and the purpose, then the function is to increase volume. The purpose is to increase filtration. If you then have plants growing in the sump, then you're also increasing the ability of the plant of the tank to remove nitrates and phosphates from the water column, other minerals from the water column, as well as from the substrate. Like floating plants or non-rooted plants are very popular in sumps for that very reason, because they help to polish the water. So those are some of the basics for sumps. You can also have fish living in the sump, so long as they're not able to get trapped by the pump. And that's another issue. It's important, it's critical that the pump remain completely separated from whatever the filter media is. You don't want sand getting into the pump because it'll ruin the impeller, it'll ruin the pump. So I usually build a little box in the corner of my sump and put the pump in that and let the water overflow into it with the media at least 2 inches below the top of that little box, usually made out of glass or plastic that's sealed together in a little square in the corner. So I make a little square in the corner of the tank with glass that's silicone together, put the sump in that, have it 4 inches or so lower than the top of the tank so water will flow into it. The trick is it's critical to keep the sump full or the pump is going to run dry. But then you got to keep an eye on the pump anyway. I mean on the sump, because the water in the sump level will go down and the water in the tank is going to remain pretty stable until the sump is virtually empty. So it's really important to keep an eye on the water level in the sump. Another issue that goes along with that is when you fill your system, turn the pump off, fill the tank from the tank and let it overflow into the sump. When it reaches a level 1 inch or so from the top of the sump, stop filling it and turn on the pump. The pump will then run water back into the tank, and it will increase the water level in the tank above the level of the overflow. So the overflow in the tank needs to be at least 1 inch and maybe 2 inches below the top of the tank. The pump is going to fill it up above the level of the overflow based on the volume of water that's in the sump and the volume at which it can pump back as opposed to the volume at which it's returned. At a point, it'll achieve a balance. When it achieves that balance, make a mark in the sump at the water level. After that point, evaporation is going to drop the water level in the sump below that mark. When it gets below the mark a few inches, refill it to the mark. With the pump running, you can refill it, but only to that mark. That way, if the pump quits, you will never flood your system. You won't have more water in there than the system can handle. So if that makes any sense to you, I'll leave that with you. And are there any other questions about sumps? Lee's talking about Cynthia has good
just listening. Lee made a comment about his canister filter and how much he cleans the sponge on that. Like every 2 months, I think he said. The sponge on the intake of his canister. So is it correct to say that a sump is like a giant canister filter?
No, it's not at all.
No.
A sump is not like a canister.
I feel like people try to take their canister filter, though, knowledge, and combine it with a sump.
Yeah, they're totally different things. They work in totally different ways. They both provide filtration. The sump provides a biological balance in the system. A canister does not. All a canister does is remove particulate matter and create a certain amount of biological filtration, nitrification. But it's not removing the particulate matter from the system. It's not changing it, in other words, which is why when you break down a sump that's been running for a long time, it's full of muck. It's like mud. like solid mud, because it's broken everything down, but all of that stuff is still in there. It's not converted into anything. The canister does not provide a way to convert waste into plant matter, for example. You can't have plants growing in your canister. Whereas
No, but I was just saying you could do the best of both worlds and kind of combine it with
I don't think, yeah, I think on balance,
vertically
you
and
do one or the other. There is no best world with a canister if you've got a sump, because the sump does more than the canister is capable of doing. It's breaking down waste.
I agree, it's better.
The sump cannot break down waste because the sump has water flowing through it, so it really cannot create an anaerobic environment. It creates a waste environment. It creates essentially an open sewer with all of the water flowing through the waste.
The sump does? Did you say the sump is open sewer? Oh, I thought you said that.
If I did, I misspoke.
I think you meant the canister.
Yeah, the canister.
Hi, Mary. Mary's back. Maybe she'll come back on. Relieve me. I feel like I'm missing comments because I just went back into the other tab and I'm seeing comments that I didn't see in StreamYard.
Yeah, you have to look on YouTube. StreamYard doesn't keep up.
I'm sorry. I thought it was the video was delayed in YouTube, so it's hard.
I don't know what the problem is. I'm looking at YouTube right now.
I'm missing a lot. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to be missing everything. You guys are writing. It's going a lot faster in YouTube. I can't keep up.
Kevin, I took you off of. I unbanned you, so you should be able to come on with your new name, Kev's Aquatics, which I like.
So Lee says, what I said was my gallon has no sump. I don't think we said he has a sump. I know you were talking about your canister.
Yeah, he has a canister that he doesn't mess with. It has a sponge in it. What I usually recommend for people, once they have an established deep substrate and they've got either a hang on the back or a sump, is to simply take the media out and let it run as a pump, as a means of circulating water, because that's really all it needs to do. That becomes its primary and most important function. And if you load it up with media, it'll do that slower and slower to the point where it becomes glommed up and can't do it.
Yeah. I see people like to just put their plants, whatever their cuttings are, and they'll just put them down into their sump so that
absolutely.
They'll save them for later. And
absolutely.
I guess if you have a light, you can keep plants in there if you have a light for your sump.
Yep. So you want to treat the sump as a second tank. What you're really doing then is you're really running a system. You're running two tanks as one. So you're increasing the volume. Now, if you can set that up so that those tanks are at the same top level, you can add more tanks to that and flow the water from one to the other and circulate it. Or what's even a better trick is to drop a long pipe with individual siphon tubes in each one and bring that back. That keeps all at the same level. And then to add method to the madness, you add water delivery to each individual tank. And the water delivery will come out of a main sump be delivered into each tank and flow out and maintain a common level. That's the way my systems are all set up. And I've got 200 tanks on that kind of system. So any one tank can be isolated from all the rest, but by being open, they're all flowing as common water. It's a really delicious system. It works remarkably well. There are a number of variations. I've seen a lot of variations on that theme in on YouTube. There are people who have all kinds of devices that they have invented to get water from one tank to another, and they all work. They all do something a little different, and it's worth looking at all of them. If you want to set up a fish room, then you need to look at that because that reduces workload by 90% across the board. It's astounding how much it reduces workload. And you still are able to maintain water quality in each of the individual tanks. If you've got something unusual happening in one tank that you don't want to be mixed in with the others, you simply turn the input off, so there's no water going into it. If there's nothing going in, there's nothing going out. So it works remarkably well. Mary's begging off here.
Lee's liking my headband today. He thought they were headphones. I didn't see that one in StreamYard.
He's not talking about you. I think he was talking about Cynthia. He's going on and on about Cynthia.
You think he was talking about Cynthia?
What he was earlier.
It's just
that. Oh, okay. No, I didn't see that.
But I missed that completely.
Is that a headband or what? What is that? Is that a headband or is that a speaker?
No, it's a headband. It's just a headband.
Right.
A basic headband. Just add a little interest. It hurts.
A little interest.
Annoying.
I see.
He said he wants to get some for his gaming channel. You can buy this. I got it at Hobby Lobby.
What time is it here? What are we doing?
Because it has like a brown. I don't know what this is for. I guess you could glue something onto that, like a flower. I just left it alone. But yeah, if we missed your comments, come back tomorrow and ask them. I had no idea that I was missing so much. Hopefully not too much.
Yeah, I don't think you missed much. It's been a busy morning.
Well, geez, it was slow, and then I went to YouTube. I'm like, holy cow! There's so much.
We've not even taken a break, have we? It's been straight up nonstop.
Chris had a follow-up question on the sump and if the size matters.
My rule of thumb is to put the biggest one in you can. The largest sump you can fit.
What would be like a minimum size?
Well, I don't know, minimum. It's got to be able to function, so it can't be so small that it won't function.
Well, like
it's got to hold enough water for the pump to not run dry. It's got to hold enough water so the pump does not run it dry. So that's really a function of the size of the pump as to how much water it can pump out. So kind of gauge it on that. But generally speaking, the larger it is, the more effective it's going to be. And simultaneously, the larger the pump is, you're going to be able to use.
So I would think like a 55 maybe minimum.
For what?
Like a minimum size, like maybe a 55 gallon.
For what? For a sump?
A sump, yeah. We're on the sump question still.
Well, you probably are. What's that going to go under? Are you going to put it under a tank, or are you going to put it in series, horizontal with a tank? How are you going to use it?
Would you say like you could use a 40 tank though, like a 40 gallon? Or do you think that would be too small?
Well, it's got to be able to fit. I mean, that's the first consideration. If you're putting it underneath your tank,
I'm just trying to answer
be able to fit, and you've got to be able to get in there to get your hand in it to be able to work in it. So there's certain restrictions. What I'm suggesting
is a 40 though. Like
the sump only works. The sump can be most effectively used if it's run in parallel with other tanks. So what I'm really suggesting is that running a series of tanks all on the same level gives you, for all practical purposes, the same principle as a sump, but gives you a fish room. So, and then if you want to dump all of that water into a vat at the end of it and pump it back out, there's your sump. But you don't even have to do that. You can simply recycle it on that plane. Cycle it from the last tank back to the first tank, and just cycle it that way.
Not a lot of people are set up to do that.
No, but it's something that is it's scalable. You can start with 2 and you can add to it. You know, if you got a fish room and you got 2 tanks, stack them alongside each other at the same height level, so that the water in both will be at the same level and they'll both be full. Then you can be siphoning water out of one into the other and pump it back in. It gives you twice the water volume for each individual tank.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you can add a 3rd tank to that and do the same thing. And it's scalable. You can keep adding to that as much space as you have to run tanks on that plane, and then do it on a lower plane. Now, if you do it on a lower plane, you could be dumping the water from both of them into a vat and pumping it back up through valves into each individual tank or into the first or whatever. So that's how you get a system. You start with 2 tanks and you add to it.
Okay. And that makes me think of like the setup where if you had like nano tanks side by side on a fish rack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it with nano tanks.
Right, you run tubes from one to the other. Now, the key to this is to make sure that when you run that tube, you've got some kind of safety on each of the tubes, some kind of what I want to say, a mesh on each tube to prevent it from becoming clogged up. Because if it gets clogged up, you're going to have an overflow, and you'll have water on the floor. So there's an unforeseen consequence of doing these systems, in which if the siphon becomes blocked, then you're going to have water on the floor, because then the tanks in front of that block are going to overflow. So I use a material that fits over the tube that's a mesh that prevents that from happening, theoretically. Dead Fred wanted to know, is it advantageous or detrimental to have algae growth in your sump?
Oh, I had that queued up for you.
It's
I didn't know if we were going to
plant-wise
take a break or not, but
yeah, it's fine. You're right. Plants are plants. The king of DUI is here.
he wanted to know if you had algae growing in your sump, if it will spread to your main tank as well.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Probably if you have it in your main tank, it will spread to your sump.
Probably so.
It's 9:55 right now, Father Fish. So I kind of wanted to save some stuff for you as another topic for tomorrow, because we might go over if we talk about it now.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow. That's fine. That works. We're kind of down to the end here. Susan, hello, Susan. Hope you're feeling better. I understand you were sick, but you are vastly improved, are you not? Any word this morning from Stephen, anyone, as to how his son is doing? Bye, Tisha. Let's see what else. All right. Chris is going to do a pre-made sump, currently running 20-gallon.
He's running a 20-gallon sump.
That's fine. So long as it's not overflowing or running dry, you're fine. If it overflows, you need a bigger pump. If it's running dry, you need a smaller pump, or you need more or less water. It's one of the four. Cynthia
Put that in our notes section.
is going to talk more tomorrow. Cynthia is going to show us.
She didn't want to interrupt, and she's going to come back and ask it tomorrow.
Cynthia is going to show us a candy cane, dragon tail betta tomorrow. That should be exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
I thought you were going to say
Tetra. Still improving, says Susan. Great. Good job, Susan. We need you. Get well quick. All right. Let me find a tune here. Let's see if we can find a tune to play. What shall we play, boys and girls? What do you want to hear? I guess we ought to do our theme, shouldn't we? It's what it's there for. Right there. Turn the sound on. All righty. Bye-bye all. Nice to be with you today. See you tomorrow.
Let's talk about fish.
See you tomorrow.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk
Bye-bye.
about all the good things and the bad things that make me. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
You want to hang on a bit, Cassie?
Yeah, I'm going to hang out for a little bit.
All right. What you got? Oh, wow. I want to give him a call. And then come in and get the play. He has to set up his voicemail. He never answers his phone.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
think what I want to do
Let's
is
talk about
walk
fish.
through with you. So you can show
Let's
things
talk about fish.
You see what we got last night?
I did. A dozen, not 12. I counted 12.
There was a little bit of water in the bucket. They all came out of a different size together. They brought in
All the time.
yeah, they brought in 3 tiny algae eaters, fully grown.
I didn't see that.
One survived, and both the other 2 out this morning. I tried to select them out before they didn't make
They're all
it.
dead.
One's still alive. He's not like tiny algae eaters. I didn't know they could have it. There's 4 blue mollies in the plainfish tank. Like weird blue mollies. She brought in something 14 angel fish, I think. About 11 of them survived, and then threw away 3 of them.
Yeah, they were not well.
I did take one more
I don't talk to you. You're right.
I saw the word fine. I was like, what is this? I don't know. I got it at Petco. I was like, did you know? Like, that's